Good day, everyone. Welcome to the second episode of ServiceDesk Plus MSP Masterclass 2024. In previous episode, we saw how you could get started with this ServiceDesk Plus MSP application by setting up your accounts, by setting up basic help desk fields and settings, and by setting up basic automations. Now, in today's episode, we're going to see how you'll be able to take control of your all the MSP operations with the help of ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now, I'm Aditya Oswal, and I'm a product expert with ServiceDesk Plus MSP, and I'll be the presenter for today's session. Let's dive into the agenda for today's session. First up, we'll check out the service catalog. So, with the help of service catalog, we'll see how you'll be able to showcase all your services that you offer to the end users of your customer organization. Then we'll check out how, with the help of timesheets, you'll be able to maintain a detailed log of overall time and efforts the technicians spend on each and every ticket. Right? Then we'll check out how you'll be able to create customized service plans and service contracts to automate the billing process. Right? And then we'll check out how you'll be able to utilize resource management feature and the maps integration to effectively manage all your resources, right? So you'll be able to manage their workload, manage their availability, and you'll be able to essentially optimize your service delivery. And beyond that, we'll check out the MSP Business Dashboard, which essentially is a very key dashboard that we have designed to help you monitor your business health. So all the numbers related to your business, such as revenue, the number of the technician performance, and everything would be available on the MSP Business Dashboard. And we'll see how that works, right? And finally, we'll check out the user service. Now, user service are an essential tool for you to gather all the data, all the feedback from your end users on your service delivery, right? So every now and then you would want to see how the service delivery process, service delivery experiences are for your end users, so that you can keep your customers happy, right? So we'll check out all of these features within the ServiceDesk Plus MSP application today. All right. So first agenda for today's session is building a personalized service catalog and customized service templates in order to showcase all your services effectively. Let me quickly dive into the end users portal, self-service portal, right? So I'm a manager for an organization, and I log into my self-service portal to request a service, right? So what would I do? I click on the request a service option. Now, this is called a service catalog, which is on the left side, you can see a number of service categories that are listed over here, right? So related to application login, communication, data management, and so on. Now, I'm going to hire a new employee, and for that new employee, I want to provide the IT assets. So to the IT team, I want to raise an onboarding request, which will help me which will help me get the IT assets for this employee, right? So as a manager, I open this template, and I'm greeted with this simple template with no overloading number of fields, just a simple subject description and a couple of fields which are necessary for me to fill, right? So what I need to do is provide the name of the employee that's joining, right? So let's say this employee's name is Ben. So I've added the name there, and here I'll add the full name for Ben, right? So let's say his name is Ben Poindexter. Now I've added his name and I've added the joining date, right? So I selected the joining date as well. So Ben is going to join us on 30th. That's the Monday, right? At 10 a.m. Now that I've provided the joining details and the contact number, the only item that's left is department name and employment type. So let's say Ben is from engineering department. Now, as soon as I click on the employment type, I have three options. Either this employee could be a permanent employee, an intern, or a contractual employee. Let's say that this employee is a permanent employee. So I click on permanent. And the moment I click there, you can see this a new set of fields have appeared, right? And that appeared dynamically without overloading the form, right? So, and in a sequential manner. So, let's say I provide the laptop name. Now I can provide the laptop model name, right? So I want to provide Ben a MacBook Pro. And as you can see on the right hand side, the operating system is already chosen as macOS, right? So I didn't even have to fill the detail on this field, as it got already filled, right? And further, I have the option to choose additional hardware and choose the software to be installed. Let's say I don't want to provide any additional hardware as of now, but I want to provide a MS Office application and a Photoshop application, an Outlook application. So at the moment I clicked on these checkboxes, another field that has popped up is of communication devices, right? So now I can even choose to provide a phone to this new joinee, right? So let's say I want to provide an iPhone 16. Now, let's say this is the case for a permanent employee. But what if there was this permanent employee was not like this new joinee was not a permanent employee, but but an intern. So let's see what happens when I click on intern, right? So the moment I clicked on intern, this field got a bit grayish, and this new field has appeared called application accounts. Now, how did that happen, right? So what happened over here? So for this organization, for interns, we do not provide laptop model, right? Laptop and other hardware. So it's all bring your own device. Now, but for since the person is joining this company, you would want to have that person, the active access, an account in Active Directory, an email address, and access to help desk, right? So you can select all that over here, right? But so like you see how the fields are changing based on a single change of a field in the form, right? They're dynamically changing over here. Now, what if I select a contractual employee? See, this field got enabled for me because for a contractual employee, I could since even though the employee is contractual, but it could the employee could work for a longer time as well. So I would want to provide a laptop model, a laptop, and so on, right? So even if I click on permanent employee, all these items would be required for that employee. So that way, as you've seen, like there are so many dynamic actions that are happening over here in a sequential manner, right? So let's see how you can also customize these dynamic templates and effectively showcase all your services in a service catalog, right? So now I have dived into my administrator login. Under administrator login, I click on admin panel. Now, under admin panel, under templates and forms, I have service catalog, right? So under service catalog option, I have the four different options available over here, such as service category, service catalog, resource questions, and resource sections. Let's quickly check out what are service categories, service questions, and resource questions and resource sections. And then we'll jump onto the service catalog. Now, before we get started with service category, let me quickly make you, let you know where service category appeared in the self-service portal, right? So here in the self-service portal, when I clicked on request a service, I was greeted with this catalog, right? So under this catalog, every single categorization that's available over here is called a service category. So let's see how you can design these service category in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. When in admin panel, you simply click on service category, right? So now you can categorize the service category as IT service category or a business service category. Let's say it's an IT service category. The moment you click there, you'll be greeted with this form. So you can provide the name of this category, the cost associated, availability target, business criticality, even you can associate it to a department, and even choose to have put a business impact on this. So in case anyone selects this particular template based on the business impact, the technicians would be able to deal with the request created through this service via this service category, right? And once you have filled all these details, you can also choose to assign an icon to this so that it looks neat and clean over the service catalog, right? And once you have designed this, once you have configured this, you can click on save. And the moment you click on save, it'll appear in this service catalog. Now, I'm going to show you what are the resource questions. Now, resource questions are essential for a service request because it helps you provide a shopping cart like an experience to the end users, right? Now, let's start with customizing the resource questions. Now, I know it could be slightly confusing because if you have not used the resource questions before, but I'm going to show you a little later where these resource questions would appear and where this resource section would be used, right? So in order to create a new resource question, simply click on the new question option and you can choose from the 4 different types. So we can either choose a plain text, checkbox, radio, or drop down. Let's say I choose a plain text and provide the question. So that way I'll be able to create different types of questions, right? And say I want to create a checkbox type of question. Now, another type of form has appeared in front of me where I can provide the question and select the type from radio, drop down, or checkbox. Then what I can do is I can select the items. For instance, say it's about about software. So as you can see, the options related to software have popped up here, right? So since these are resource based questions, so let's say I'm talking about hardware resources, right? So let's check out. Uh, let's create a hardware resources section question. So I click on add manually. Now, what stuff can I add here? Let's say keyboard, and I'll assign a cost to it. If I enable the cost, the end users would be able to see the cost of each items and they can see the overall cost that they incur, or you can choose to hide this option as well, right? So hardware, let's say keyboard, mouse, and let me just stop right here. So I'm hoping that you got the picture, right? And further, what you can do is you can even choose to enable an image. So if you provide an image over here, it'll essentially look like a shopping cart, experience on an e-commerce website, right? So that's how customizable these resource questions are. Now, what is a resource section? Resource section is essentially the combination or categorization of those resource questions in a logical manner. Say you want to talk about describe the required laptop, or you want to talk about the communication devices. So you can simply click on that option. Let's click on the one of the resource question section that I've already created, right? So this talks about the different types of devices that are required. But what if I want to select the resource required for new employee? So yeah, here you can see there are 4 different types of resource questions listed over here, right? And essentially we have combined 4 different types of such as drop down, checklist, and drop down and checklist over here. So that's how you can simply create a new resource section just by choosing the resource questions right from here, right? You can just simply select these questions and they'll appear in the resource section. Now that we have understood how we can create resource questions and resource sections, let's dive into the service catalog now and see how you can create service templates under each service categories. So now I'm in the service catalog option where I can see all the service categories that I've created that are listed over here. Now what if I want to add a service? I add a service template. So I click on the add service option. And once I do that, I'm greeted with this, simple drag and drop type of form over here where I can provide the name. I can even associate an icon and I can select which accounts this particular template is going to be applicable for. And then further, I'm greeted with a number of fields and number of sections over here, right? So say I want to, now this is, first what we're going to do is we're going to design this form from the technician's point of view. Why from technician's point of view? Because as a technician, I would want to have as many details possible regarding every single service request, right? So let's create one section which is the request details. So since this one contains details such as status, priority, group, technician, etc., these are all details related to the request. But the one where the requester would be able to add details, we would want to create a separate section for that, right? So let me quickly drag a column from a section from the left side. Now, once I drag it and add it over here, the section would appear right here. Now, similar to how I dragged and dropped a section, I can also choose to create different types of field in this form, right? So these are the different types of field that are available to me, such as single line text, multi-line text, numeric, decimal, pick list, and so on. So say I want to add the employee name. So employee name. So I can simply add the field name, select whether this is an personally identifiable information, and even choose to encrypt the field, right? And I can even decide the maximum characters that can be input in this field, and further whether a requester can set these values and view these values or not, right? So that will help me ensure that requesters see only the information that is absolutely necessary for the requester. And under customization, I can even choose to design select the different types of from the different types of fonts, different types of font sizes, and even the color of the particular field, right? So color of the particular fonts, and even the background color of the field, right? So that way you'll be able to make the request forms very dynamic and very intuitive for the end users. Now let me quickly show you a form that I've already created, right? So I'm opening the onboarding form that I've already created. Now, as you can see, I've already provided the basic details and the accounts that this form is applicable for. And here I've already provided all the details such as employee details section, ticket details section, and further the request details such as subject and description. And at the bottom, you can see that I've also included resource info, right? So logically, for a new employee, when I want to get the IT asset send out an IT asset request, I'll be able to get all the required information from the manager, right? So choose the laptop model, operating system, everything with the help of resource info, I can pull it over here. And in order to add these resource section into this template, you can simply click on this resource section option and drag and drop the resource questions over here, right? Now, this is for a technician. Now, how would that look for a requester, right? So on the requester side, as you can see, there are limited number of fields available, as we also saw in the self-service portal, right? So that way you customize the requester and technician view. Now, finally, we'll see how you'll be able to design the workflow, right? So here I can add the approval details, such as here I've added 2 levels of approval. Now, if you want to add another level of approval, you can simply click and even customize the name of the approval level and select which particular approver has to approve this service request. And once you click on save, your approval would be listed over here, right? And so by default, if one person has rejected this request, the request would still stay in the pending approval stage. So until and unless even the second person has denied this. But if you want, you can choose to select this option, which will essentially take the first approval action into account. So say in the first stage of approval, I've the manager, the head of the reporting manager has already approved it. So the request would be considered approved. But if you want all approvers to approve the service request, you can select this checkbox as well, right? Next up, you can even associate different types of SLAs to this ticket. So to this in a service request template, right? So different types of situations would demand different types of SLAs, right? So you can associate one or multiple SLAs to a particular service request template. Then you can also associate a checklist so that the technician who's working on this request can who's working on this request can see all the items that he has to take care of, they have to take care of in order to fulfill this service request, right? And finally, you can also check out the different tasks that are associated to this particular request, right? And once you've checked out all of that, you'll be able to customize the entire workflow for this request. Now, finally, we come to the field and form rules. So those dynamic actions that we saw, where fields were appearing, out of nowhere, but sequentially, and when they were required, they were getting disabled and enabled, right? So all that can be customized in the field and form rules. Now, in the field and form rules, we have three different stages where we can customize these dynamic actions. So first one is on form load. So the moment a requester opens a template, you can decide certain actions to take place in the request template, right? So for instance, I have chosen to hide certain fields or show certain fields based on the user input, right? Based on the form load. Now, on field change, we can also perform some actions which which will be based on the user's input, right? So how I was changing the employment type in this template, and the different types of actions were happening, right? So those actions can be designed over here with the help of field and form rules. Now, in order to create a field and form rule, simply click on a new rule, provide the rule name and the time of execution, whether on creation or on editing. Then select, so now since it's on field change, we are already selected that, and you can select the field based on which this dynamic action is going to take place. Then we come to the condition, right? So say I want to make a certain field as a mandatory field, right? So I want to make department name mandatory. So when employment type has been filled, the department name has to be mandatory, right? So department name is empty. So once I've selected that, I can perform a number of actions on the field, right? So let's say I want to enable certain fields, disable certain fields, show fields, hide fields. I can do all of these actions, right? So what else can I do? I can choose to mandate or non-mandate certain fields, and I can also set or clear certain fields. Like how you saw when I selected a laptop model, the operating system got already set, right? So field got already set. So that way you can perform a number of so many actions right with the help of the field and form rules, right? So all these actions can be performed from over here. And that's how easy it is to dynamically design your service request templates and showcase all the services that you provide to your end users. Now, since this is a very basic setup type of webinar, if you have specific requirements for your organization, you can always reach out to us at support@servicedeskplusmsp.com, and our support team would be able to guide you through different types of template creation that are required in your organization. Now, with that, we come to the end of this first agenda. Next up, we have maintaining a detailed log of technicians' efforts with the help of timesheets. So let me quickly get back to the administrator login. Now, under this, we have something called timesheets tab. Now, imagine I'm a technician and I've opened this timesheets option. Now, I'll only see a My Timesheet tab over here if I'm a technician without the ability to approve timesheets, right? So I'll be able to create a timesheet. And how do I do that? Simply clicking on new timesheet and providing the time period from which to which I want to create a timesheet. And the moment I provide the timesheet, it will open something like this, right? So this is how a draft timesheet would look. Now, in order to get the context behind the timesheet, I would like to tell you about work logs, right? So when you would have dealt with the different requests, you would have seen an option to input us a work log within the requests, right? So just for your reference, let me quickly show you where that is. So let's say I open this request, and under this request, I can see that there's an option called work logs. So as a technician, when I've worked on a ticket, I would want to log in my efforts, the time that I've worked in a particular ticket over here with the help of work logs, right? So how do I do that? I click on new, and I add the details related to work log and the start and end time, the amount of time that it took me to deliver a specific service for a request. And I can even choose to provide the type of that work log. Say it's a customer meeting, on-site support, or let's say it's a remote support. So once I've selected that, I can also provide the billing details, such as say if the work was done during operational hours, or non-operational hours, or weekends. Let's say the work was only done during operational hours, but during one of the holiday hours, right? So that way the operational hours and holiday hours charge would only be calculated over here. And once you have selected all the charges, once you have filled in all the details, you can click on save, and that way your work log would be added over here. Now, as a technician, when you added this work log in different types, in different number of requests that you've worked on, all your work logs would appear in this timesheet, right? And with day wise, all your all the time that you've spent on a ticket would appear over here. And on the left side, you'll be able to see each request is also available over here. So for each corresponding request, however much time that you've spent on a particular ticket, you'll be able to see, and even the account that this ticket is associated with. Now, beyond that, on top, you can also see the total logged hours that I've showcased in this timesheet. Versus, you can also see it shows billable hours and non-billable hours. Now, say I worked on a request within the operational hours, but outside of let's say it took me a couple of more hours outside of the operational hours, right? So say my time is 9 to 5, but I worked on a particular ticket beyond that. So those 2 hours additional hours that I worked on would come under non-billable hours, right? So if I don't have the approval for overtime, so that way I will be able to customize all the different work logs that I've worked on as a technician. I'll be able to mark all that and click on submit for approval. Now, once I've submitted my timesheet for an approval, it would look something like this. But say if I forgot to add a work log, or say I added a wrong time in the work log, I can quickly recall this timesheet from when it's still pending for approval, right? And make the right adjustments and send it to approval again, send it for approval again. And once once this timesheet is approved by my manager, it'll look something like this, right? And this can then further be also be extended to the payroll team for me to get paid according to the efforts that I've put in, right? And if if a timesheet is rejected, I'll have the option to either submit it, or I can first make the changes that are suggested by my manager and refresh, and then resubmit it again, right? Now, that's how it will look from a technician's point of view. But say you're a technician's manager. Now, you would also have access to the timesheet approvals, right? So as a manager, once a timesheet request has come to you, it'll look something like this in the pending approval stage, right? You'll be able to check out all the details, and I choose to either reject or approve this. Now, once you approve it, it'll look something like this, and the technician would also know that it's approved, right? And next, if you have rejected it, it will look something like this. So that way, with the help of the billable hours and non-billable hours, you'd also be able to judge the technician's performance. Now, since billable hours are 00 over here, it shows 100%, but that won't be the usual case in a real life scenario, right? So that way, you'll be able to maintain a detailed log of all the efforts that your technicians spend. Now you also have the option to set the you can even change this some configurations related to timesheets. Now it's not only so in the under the admin panel, let me quickly get back to it. So under the admin panel, when you click on timesheet settings, here, you'll be able to enable the timesheets first of all. Then you'll be able to decide whether it's supposed to be submitted daily, weekly, or within or in 2 weeks, right? And you can also select your start day. Say our organization starts your working day from Monday, so it will start from Monday. Then you can choose to select a technician log hours target. So for the entire week, you can select the total hours that a technician has to work, right? So total 40 hours is the target hours, and logs and but per day log hours cannot exceed 8 hours is what I have configured over here, but it can be changed according to your organization, right? Now I can choose to allow a multi-day work log addition or not, or if your organization don't allow that, you can simply deselect this option, and you can even choose to exclude certain technicians from from this timesheet submission process, right? And once you do that, you can simply click on save, and your timesheet settings would be saved, right? And next up, we have the billing feature, right? How can you automate your billing and invoicing in ServiceDesk Plus MSP? Now, let me quickly dive into the product again in the admin section. So under the admin section, I'll find these three dots over here where I have the option for billing, right? So under this option, under this tab, I can see all the bills that I have generated for my accounts, for different accounts, right? So how do I create these bills, right? How do I create and how do I automatically send these bills to the different accounts? So for that, we need to jump into the admin section. Now, under admin section, we have a separate section called billing where I can design certain bill rules. What are bill rules? Bill rules are essentially criteria based, you know, amount assignment option where with the help of a bill rule, you'll be able to decide select a criteria that should match with the incoming request, and based on the criteria, if the criteria is matched, the you'll be able to associate certain costs. For instance, we saw while adding a work log, we saw how you were able to select the operational hours and non-operational hours and holidays as well, right? So all those things, if you want to take into account, you'll be able to associate the cost for all those items via bill rule. So let's quickly see how you can create a bill rule, right? So in order to create a bill rule, you need to simply provide the name and then select the criteria. Say I want to match a bill rule as the account is Acme Securities. Now, I want to create a bill rule only for a particular account named Acme Securities. And I want to associate certain fixed costs, that is, per request, I want to charge $5, and fixed cost per hour is $3. And the differential cost, essentially, ideally, for the operational cost, operational hour cost is 5 as I've selected, and for non-operational hours, I can select. I can charge my accounts higher amount. Say I want to charge 7, and for weekend hour I want to charge $9, and for holidays I want to charge the same amount. Now that I've decided the costs for all of these different different times when the request comes in, right? So all of these factors, all of these costs come into picture based on the time when the request comes in. Now, based on that, your account would be your customer account would be built, right? So that's how you'll be able to create bill rules. Next up, we have something called top-up plan. Now, when your service, when your customer has selected, created a service contract with you, you would have associated a certain number of, you would have availed them a certain number of, let's say, hours, uh, hours in units, or the certain number of requests in order to provide your services. But let's say your technician exceeds those hours, or let's say it's a prepaid type of situation where technician has only paid for the X number of services, but they exceed that. So what can they do? In that situation, you can provide them with a top-up plan where you can provide them additional number of either request or R units or both with the help of this top-up plan, right? But what you can do is for this additional, since it's a top-up plan, you can choose a different pricing for this plan. So in order to add this, you simply need to provide the name, description, associate the price, and you can even choose to select the option to associate to future, select the option to associate it to the future service plans, right? And then this is here where you will decide the number of units that you would want to provide as a top up. Say you want to totally provide 20 hours and 100 number of request units. So customer now would all have the option to send 100 more requests, and you'll be able to provide them services for 20 more hours. So that's how a top-up plan is created. Now let's see where bill rules and top-up plans comes into the picture. That is service plan. So under service plan, we'll essentially create different types of service plans based on the different requirements of the customers, right? Say you would have heard of different plans like gold, silver, platinum, right? So these are all designed based on the different pricing, based on the different services that are offered. So how can you create these service plans? To create that, click on add service plan, provide the service plan name, and now first you'll be able to select the service plan type, right? So whether you want to charge your customer account based on hour, or charge per request, or levy them a fixed charge, right? So as you see, if you levy them a fixed charge, you can provide the fixed base charge, and you can simply go ahead and save it. Now you can even also click then this option and allow them to enter additional charges. But let's say you want to charge them per hour. So when you select per hour, you'll be able to even provide them additional usage charges if you have selected the post-paid billing mode, right? So if you have selected post-paid billing mode, only then you'll be able to charge them per hour and provide them even the additional usage charges once their plan runs out, right? And then further, you can select the bill cycle, such as weekly, monthly, as per your client's requirement. Then associate the base charge value, associate the weekly allowance, number of hours, and even choose to associate the additional usage charges that are displayed over here, right? So how do you associate these usage charges? With the help of bill rules, right? So with the help of bill rules, you can simply select a particular bill rule, and automatically the prices that you configured earlier would appear over here. Now, let's say you also want to associate differential cost per hour. So for that also, you can simply select another bill rule which uh, provides differential cost for different operational and non-operational hours, and so on. So all those values, as you can see, have appeared over here. Now say a request comes in and the bill rule that you have selected over here does not match with that request. So what happens in that case? In that case, you also have an option to edit the cost manually over here, so that no request goes unbilled, right? So that way you'll be able to ensure all the services that you're providing to your client are billed properly, right? Now this is about the postpaid side of the billing, but what happens in the prepaid scenario, where your client has already paid the money, so they don't have the additional usage charge option, right? So in that case, when I select the prepaid billing mode, I have the option to take a top-up plan. So the top-up plan we just created a couple of minutes ago can be associated over here. And once this customer account exhausts their existing service plan, the top-up plan would come into picture, and they'll be provided additional hour or request units, right? And for that, basically you'll be able to provide the fixed charge weekly allowance as well. Now you also have the option to provide the carry forward option for any of the unused allowance. You can choose to select that, or you can choose not to select that if that's something that you don't offer. And other options. Once you have selected all these details, you can click on save, and your service plans would be created and listed over here. So as you can see, based on the different types of accounts, I've created a number of service plans over here. But again, your organization may only require 2 or 3 according to the services that you offer, right? And then finally we come to the contract billing. So this is where you create a service contract, a service agreement with your client, where you select the type of service plan that should be applicable for this particular account that you're creating it for, right? So say I want to create this service plan for contract for Acme Securities. So for Acme Securities, if I want to create a new contract, I'll click on this option, and here I'll select the service plan. So say I want to provide them the platinum service plan that I've created for them, and I'll be able to provide a contract number, a contract name, say it's an ACPL, and then provide the description. Then I can also select the start and expiry date, based on which the notifications would go out to the account, right? So what notifications? So the notification before the contract is about to expire, right? So expiry notification before. You can also send it after the expire, after the contract has expired. And further, you can attach all the related documents with the help of attached files over here, right? And all the information, such as all the billing details, such as currency and discounts, and so on and so forth. All the options can be added over here. And further, you also have an option to add the different tax types that are applicable in your country, right? And once you have selected all those taxes and all the different details, this service contract would be now active, and your customers would be charged according to this service contract, right? So how would it look from within a request? Let me quickly show it to you, right? So say I'm from just a moment. Right. So I'm back into my request section, and say my account is the account 1, right? And the account has sent out an request which says network is slow, right? So just below the person who has created the account, the request, you can see an option called contract, right? So in this yellow box, you'll see the service contract that is associated with this account. And you can also see that this request is a billable request, right? So you will be billing your client for this request. Now, what if you don't want, you've chosen this wrong service plan has been associated over here, right? So a fun fact for you, you can even associate multiple service contracts to a single account, to a single customer, right? Because you would be offering a wide variety of services. So for different types of services provided, you can create different service plans and service contracts with your customers, and you can choose to associate all of them over in this ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now, say I want to associate a different service contract for this particular request. Say I want to charge a fixed. So I can select that and associate. So with that, only a fixed charge related service plan would be active, and the customer would be billed accordingly, right? So once I've provided that, once a technician has worked on this and logged their hours, based on that, I'll be able to close this request, right? And once this request is closed, the work logs would be added into the total quota along with the total cost incurred. And based on the time period that you've selected with the account's consent, on that particular date, the invoice would be sent to your customer, right? So that's how it will be automatically sent. You'll be able to bill your customers automatically, right? And beyond this, say you sometimes you provide an ad hoc service to your account which does not satisfy any of the different service plans or different bill rules that we saw, right? So what do you do in that case? in that case, what you can do is you can simply select the particular request and you can go to the actions tab and you can choose to print a job sheet for that. So when you print a job sheet, all the items, all the amount that is incurred would be listed over here, and it's this particular job sheet you'll be able to send to your customer and get the money for that, right? And beyond that, say your account, one of your account has lost one of their bills in their different server upgrade or anything, and they want to regenerate the bill. They want you to regenerate the bill for them. How do you do that? How do you generate the ad hoc bill? We can simply check out the particular bill that you've sent on based on the bill date and click on the regenerate option. So once you click on regenerate, the bill would be regenerated, and with the help of that regenerated bill, you'll be able to send it across to your customer, right? So this is how the bill would look, and you'll be able to export it as a number of options such as PDF, HTML according to your requirement, and even directly send it to customer from here, right? So that's how easy it is to set up the billing in ServiceDesk Plus MSP and accurately bill your clients automatically, right? So next item in the agenda is managing resource effectively. Now let me quickly show you these features and on how you can effectively manage your resource with the help of ServiceDesk Plus MSP, right? I'm diving into the admin in my technician's login again. So here in the technician's login, in the home tab, I have an option called resource management. So once I click on the resource management option, I'll be able to see the different the different technicians that are there in my organization and the different tasks that are assigned to each of these technicians, right? So these small bars that you see are the different tasks that each of these technicians are working on, right? So, and the colors that you see, right? All these colors are actually denoting a different type of priority that is assigned to each request. So the red ones would be high priority, the green ones are normal priority, and the bluish one are essentially the ones which have not been assigned a priority yet, right? And so you can also check these tasks based on the unassigned request and the assigned request, assigned unassigned tasks or assigned tasks as well. And you can also check out the unscheduled tasks as well. So say some of these tasks that are created, but they have not been scheduled to execution, right? So say you created a task under a request, but you have not selected when this task would take place. So it will appear this way in that case, right? Now, what do I do with these different bars that are appearing over here? I can choose to, let's say this particular technician named Aditya is overloaded, right? So I can choose, pick one of these tasks which has not been executed yet and choose to assign it to John Roberts, which is the person who has least number of tasks, right? So basically, the person does not have any task in play at the moment, right? And now, just a moment. I think there's some issue, but yeah. So essentially, you'll be able to simply drag and drop these tasks and assign to this assign to a different technician based on their workload, right? And further, you'll be able to essentially select the time period from which to which you want these. You want to check out the different tasks your technicians are working from, and you can even set the time settings as hours, days, and weeks in order to further drill down into the different timelines on which your technicians are occupied, right? And based on that, you'll be able to check out availability of each of your technician and manage their workload right from a single screen, right? And now with that, you'll be able to effectively manage all your resources. But say some of your technicians are also working on site, right? How would you ensure that you are designating a ticket to the right technician in that case? So for that, we have something called Maps integration in ServiceDesk Plus MSP. Now, you need to go to the admin section, and under admin section, under apps and add-ons, there's an option called Maps integrations. So in order to enable this, first you need to click on yes, and select the map that you would want to work with, right? So say you want to use Google Maps, so you can use your own subscription and provide an API key over here, or you can even choose to use the free of cost available Zoho Maps right over here. Once you click on save, your maps integration would be available, right? And in order to and a new tab would appear for you under the three dots called maps. So this is where your maps would be your map would be visible. So on this map, you will be able to check out all the different locations that your customer accounts exist. And so essentially these orange icons are what or are the customers for this particular MSP, and this blue icon that is available over here is essentially the technician. So all the different technicians can mark their existing location with the help of ServiceDesk Plus MSP app, and you'll be able to check out where their current location is on this map. And based on that, say a particular a particular technician is there in the Washington DC location. Oh, just a moment. Say one of your customer is there in the. Oh, let me quickly refresh and explain that again. Right. So say one of your customer is there in the Washington DC area, and one of your technician is also working close by that state. Say your customer is in the New York region only, but in Pittsburgh. But another one of your technician, and say your base site is in Oklahoma. So say you need a new request comes in from Washington DC. What would you do in that case? Would you send another technician from your base site, or would you simply assign this technician which is already in Pittsburgh, right? So you will be able to smartly assign the technician that's in Pittsburgh only when you know the exact location of your technicians, right? So with the help of this feature, you'll be able to do that, do just that, right? And you'll be able to smartly manage the availability, and you can even save a lot on the travel cost for your technician cost and travel time for your technicians as well. And that's how easy it is to manage different types of your technicians within the ServiceDesk Plus MSP application. Next up, we are getting the essential business numbers, right? So with the help of MSP Business Dashboard, you'll be able to dive into different key performing indicators, key performance indicators, different KPIs and metrics, right? So let's check those out. So in order to check out the MSP Business Dashboard, you need to click on Dashboard option. Once you click on Dashboard, you'll be able to see a number of dashboards that are available for your organization. And you can also create a new dashboard by clicking on the new option. And here we see an option called Business Dashboard. So this is where I'll be able to see a quick snapshot of all the different business related KPIs, such as revenue, the number of technicians, the total build time, total number of assets that I'm managing, customer satisfaction rate, the last 12 bill cycles, the revenue, month-on-month revenue, even in the last year, this quarter, based on the different requirements that you have, right? You'll also be able to see the billable versus non-billable hours that you spent each month, that your technicians spend each month. Now, once you configure user service and you get the user satisfaction from your end users, you'll be able to see the customer satisfaction rate as well over here, your top 10 technician and your top 10 technicians by customer satisfaction survey as well, right? So all these key business metrics will be available to you right on your fingertips, right? With just a single click. So, and since this is a very high level of data that should only be available for certain executive roles. So what you can do is you can, as a system administrator of this application, you can choose to assign a particular role that we have created, right? Under the users and permission, there's a roles option where we have created a role called I'm sorry. Yeah, so we have created a role called MSP Dashboard Owner. So once a technician or a requester has been assigned this role, only then they'll be able to check out this business dashboard and get all the business numbers on their fingertips. Now, finally, we come to the last item on the agenda called user surveys, right? Let's see how you'll be able to gather right type of feedback on the right time from your end users. So in order to create a user survey, you need to go to the admin panel, and under admin panel, we have something called user surveys. So let's see how you'll be able to configure these surveys. Now, in ServiceDesk Plus MSP, we have categorized the surveys in two options. So there could be a survey called request-based survey, which are only applicable for incident service request service, or both, right? Beyond that, you can also choose to create a general survey. A general survey could be taken at any point or could be taken at any frequency in order to gather the user feedback. But request-based surveys are essentially created so that whenever a request is closed, you'll be able to provide your end users with a survey option, a feedback form to fill and provide their input on how they felt the service was delivered to them, right? So in order to create a request-based survey, let's see how you can do it. So I click on incident surveys in order to create an incident survey. So for that, I'll be able to provide name, description, the number of the accounts which this survey is applicable. Say this service as a survey is applicable for all accounts. I can simply click on this checkbox. Then I can choose from the four different types of questions. So whether I want to select a rating type, an opinion scale, a binary type, a yes or no binary type, or a radio button, I can simply choose to pick those and add them over here. So in order to add it, I can just provide the question. Say I'm saying please rate our services out of 5. I can even drag it up to the 10, right? So that way I'll be able to simply drag and drop these options and customize the different types of questions and answers over here, and then send this survey to the end users once their request is closed, right? So since this is an incident survey, the service type appears as incident surveys, but it will be similarly done for the service request or both, right? So what you can do is you can select whether you want to send this survey upon a certain number of requests completion, or where you can even customize it on a requester's point of view, as in say 5 requests for 5 incident requests when are done for a particular requester, when are completed or closed for a requester, the requester would get a survey form in their email, right? So that way you can select the right option or right configuration and select the duration when you want the end user to fill the survey, right? Or you can alternatively choose to send the survey out for all the closed incident requests. So as and when a request is closed, you can quickly send out a survey form, and that way you'll be able to gather customer end user feedback on a very granular level. And you can even choose to execute these surveys based on a certain criteria. Say you want to execute this survey for a particular department only, right? So you can select the department. Say I want to run this survey only to the engineering department end users of a particular site, right? So I can select that department right over here, and I can choose to publish this survey for that department alone, right? So that's how I'll be able to create and customize different surveys for different duration for each of my customer accounts. Now, as I was talking about the general survey, so general survey is the procedure to create a general survey is almost same. You can choose the accounts, provide the details, and select the questions from the 4 different types of questions that are available to you, and then select whether whether this survey reoccurs or not. If it does not reoccur, you can simply select the target audience and click on publish. But say this survey is a recurring survey. Say you want to gather gather a general feedback from your all the end users or a particular set of end users every 6 months or so, right? So that way you'll be able to select the start and end date of this and the days after which you want this survey to repeat. And so with that, you'll be able to resend this survey on the time duration that you select. And then you'll be able to select the target audience, such as if you want to enable this for all the users, you can select this point, or you can choose to restrict it to a certain user group as well. Now, how can we create user groups? We saw that in the previous episode. So do check out our previous episode, and on which is also available on the registration landing page as well, right? And right, so finally you can also choose to limit this survey to a certain number. Say your organization is large, you have a lot of customers spanning more than 5,000 end users. So what you can do is you can configure that the limit, you can cap the limit over here. And this is essential because every survey is sent as an email, right? So you do not want your mail server to be overloaded. So you can choose the survey count limit accordingly over here. And once you're satisfied, once you have configured this survey, you can simply choose to publish it, and your end users would get it based on the settings that you have uh, put it in the put in the general survey option, right? And that way you'll be able to gather a survey on you'll be able to even execute a general survey, right? So at that way we saw how you'll be able to gather you can set up the customer satisfaction surveys and gather the different feedback on your service quality, right? And with that, we come to the end of today's session, right? So we saw how you'll be able to showcase all the different types of services that you deliver with the help of service catalog and with the help of service request templates within. Then we saw how you'll be able to set up timesheets and how your technicians and the technicians manager would be able to send it for approval and approve it. Then we saw how you'll be able to automate your billing process and how you can do it very accurately, right? And then we saw how you'll be able to manage all of your resources in your all the technicians that are available within your organization with the help of resource management and maps integration feature. And finally, we saw how you'll be able to set up user surveys and even check out the key business metrics in the MSP Business Dashboard. Folks, with that, we come to the end of today's session. So thank you all for joining today's session. And if you have any questions related to this presentation or the masterclass series, please send it across to us at hello@servicedeskplus.com. This is Aditya signing off.